Malaysia and Maldives to explore further collaboration in various key sectors. At least 11 after car plows into crowd in Vancouver. Good afternoon in Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Fong and you're watching World Today. Maldives President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu, who arrived yesterday for a 4-day official visit to Malaysia, was accorded an official welcoming ceremony at Perdana Putra complex here today. Dr. Muizzu was received by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim at the venue at 9 a.m, after which the national anthems of both countries were played. Dr. Muizzu then inspected a guard of honour mounted by 3 officers and 102 members of the 1st Battalion of the Royal Malay Regiment. Also present were Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh, Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Johari Abdul and Public Service Director General Tan Sri Wan Ahmad Dahlan Abdul Aziz. Dr. Muizzu's maiden visit to Malaysia since becoming president in November 2023 was at the invitation of Datuk Seri Anwar. Both leaders are expected to review Malaysia-Maldives bilateral relations and explore further collaborations, particularly in trade, investment, the halal industry, education, tourism, and youth and sports. Tomorrow, Dr. Muizzu will be conferred an honorary degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Islamic Leadership and Madani Development by the International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM. The honorary degree will be conferred by Tengku Ampuan Pahang, Tunku Aziza Amina Maimuna Iskandaria as the constitutional head of IIUM. Senior diplomats from BRICS countries are meeting in Brazil today to present a united front amid growing global tension over US President Donald Trump's aggressive trade policies. The meeting in Rio de Janeiro comes just days after the IMF downgraded global growth forecasts, citing the impact of sweeping US tariffs. Brazilian Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira is hosting the talks with key figures like Russia's Sergei Lavrov and China's Wang Yi in attendance. Officials are working on a declaration reaffirming support for the multilateral trading system. The agenda also includes climate change ahead of the COP30 summit in Brazil later this year and the ongoing war in Ukraine, with Trump pushing for peace talks between Moscow and Kiev. Malaysia is also participating in the discussions, represented by Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan. He is scheduled to deliver Malaysia's national intervention at a dedicated session themed "The Role of the Global South in Reinforcing Multilateralism." BRICS, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, now counts newer members like Iran, Egypt and the UAE. The group represents nearly half the world's population and 39% of global GDP. Qatari Prime Minister says there's been limited progress toward a new ceasefire in Gaza, but no final deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas. Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani made the comments after meeting with Israeli intelligence chief David Barnea in Doha last week. He said both sides remain far apart on a key issue towards ending the war.
About the seriousness of the parties, it's something, honestly, I cannot judge 100% whether they are 100% serious or not. What we have noticed on Thursday is a bit of progress compared to the other meetings, yet we need to find an answer for the ultimate question: how to end this war. That's basically, I think, the key point of the entire negotiations.
Hamas has reportedly agreed to release all remaining Israeli hostages if Israel agrees to stop the war in Gaza. However, Israel wants the hostages freed without making that commitment. Meanwhile, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, speaking alongside Sheikh Mohammed, said Hamas appears more open to not just a ceasefire but also long-term peace efforts, including a two-state solution. Turkish officials also met with Hamas leaders in Doha over the weekend. Meanwhile, Gaza Civil Defense Agency said Israeli strikes on Sunday had killed at least 50 people in the territory. Israel resumed its military campaign in the Gaza Strip on 18th March. A ceasefire agreement that had largely halted the fighting for 2 months collapsed over disagreements with Hamas. Civil Defense official Mohammed Al-Mughayr said the martyrs included 9 people killed in a strike on a group of civilians in the east of Gaza City in the north of the territory. The hospital in the southern town of Khan Yunis said it had received the bodies of 7 people killed in a strike on a house. The hospital in Al-Auda said it had received 4 bodies and several people wounded from a strike on a cafe near the central Burij camp. The health ministry in Gaza raised its overall death toll to 52,243 people since the war began, after hundreds of missing people were confirmed dead. Neither the Israeli military nor top Israeli officials have denied the scale of the overall toll. Israel has struck Beirut's southern suburbs after issuing an evacuation warning, the third Israeli strike on the Lebanese capital since a ceasefire took effect in late November last year. Authorities said so far there was no immediate word on casualties. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun condemned the airstrike and called for France and the United States, guarantors of the November 27th ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, to compel Israel to halt its attacks. Israel has violated that truce multiple times in recent months and weeks, with attacks on the capital and across southern Lebanon. Aoun said Israel is undermining stability in Lebanon and escalating tensions, posing real dangers to the security of the region. Elias Hana, a retired Lebanese army general, said the Israeli strike on Beirut and the warning that preceded it may have been aimed at gathering intelligence on Hezbollah. Hana said such an operation is known as pinging the system. Hana added that the operation could confirm or dismiss certain information, which would be a win-win scenario for intelligence gathering. The U.S. military has struck over 800 targets in Yemen since 15th March, killing hundreds of Houthi rebels, including leaders. This operation, dubbed Rough Rider, aims to neutralize threats to vessels in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden and restore U.S. deterrence in the region. CENTCOM says the airstrikes have destroyed key Houthi facilities, including command centers, air defense systems, and weapon storage. Despite these efforts, the Houthis continued to launch attacks against U.S. vessels and Israel. However, U.S. operations have significantly weakened the Houthis' capabilities, with ballistic missile launches down by 69% and drone attacks reduced by 55%. The U.S. military also accused Iran of continuing to support the Houthis. CENTCOM vows to maintain pressure until freedom of navigation and American deterrence are restored in the region. The Houthis began targeting international shipping late last year, claiming solidarity with Palestinians amid the Gaza war. Their attacks have disrupted Suez Canal traffic, forcing global shipping companies to reroute around Africa. North Korea today confirmed for the first time that it has sent troops to fight for Russia in the war with Ukraine under the order of leader Kim Jong-un, and made an important contribution to the liberation of Russian territory occupied by Ukraine. KCNA state news agency cited the North ruling party as saying that the battle to liberate Russia's Kursk region showed the highest strategic level of the firm friendship between North Korea and Russia. The Central Military Commission of the North ruling Workers' Party said leader Kim Jong-un made the decision to deploy troops under the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty he signed with Putin last year. Ukrainian officials have said that North Korea sent an estimated total of 14,000 troops, including 3,000 reinforcements to replace its losses. Lacking armored vehicles and drone warfare experience, the officials said the Koreans took heavy casualties but adapted quickly. Saudi Arabia, Qatar to settle Syria's outstanding debt to World Bank. A driver ploughed a car into a crowd at a street festival celebrating Filipino heritage in Vancouver on Sunday, killing at least 11 people and injuring dozens more in what police are calling the darkest day in the city's history. Some of those attending the festival helped chase down and detain the suspect, who police identified as a 30-year-old man who had a history of mental health-related interactions with authorities. The event over the weekend was intended as a celebration of culture and diversity, marking Lapu-Lapu Day, an annual festival organized by British Columbia's Filipino community and commemorating an indigenous leader who fought against Spanish colonization. The incident unfolded just after 8 p.m. local time, when a man drove a black Audi SUV into a large crowd of people attending the festival near East 43rd Avenue and Fraser Street. The male suspect, who is from Vancouver, was arrested at the scene. Vancouver Police Interim Chief Steve Rice said the suspect was thought to have operated alone, was the sole occupant of the vehicle and still remained in custody. No motive has been confirmed for the attack, though terrorism was ruled out by police. Saudi Arabia and Qatar have announced they will pay off Syria's $15 million debt to the World Bank in a move aimed at helping the war-torn country recover. In a joint statement, the two nations said clearing Syria's financial areas will unlock access to much-needed financial support for rebuilding key sectors to help Syria's recovery. The statement also emphasized that this effort will support Syria's institutional rebuilding, capacity development and reform policies, helping the country move toward a more stable future. Saudi Arabia and Qatar also called on international and regional financial institutions to expand their work in Syria, fulfilling the aspirations of the Syrian people. Syria's foreign ministry expressed deep gratitude for the generous initiative, stating that it reflects a shared commitment to alleviating Syria's economic hardships. Earlier this week, Syria's central bank governor and finance minister attended the IMF and World Bank meetings for the first time in over 2 decades. IMF Director Kristalina Georgieva also indicated support for Syria's reintegration into the global economy. This step follows significant political changes in Syria, with President Bashar al-Assad's regime ended last December. A transitional administration now in place, marking the dissolution of the country's long-standing Ba'ath Party rule. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba left Tokyo for a 4-day trip to Vietnam and the Philippines as Japan seeks to shore up regional ties after US President Donald Trump's tariff onslaught. Ishiba's trip comes after China's President Xi Jinping conducted his own Southeast Asia tour, with Beijing trying to position itself as a stable alternative to the United States as leaders battle to country Trump's tariffs. Ishiba also called Vietnam and the Philippines, along with the rest of Southeast Asia, a growth center that is driving the world economy. But they face major impacts due to Trump's sweeping tariffs, Ishiba said, adding that Japanese businesses operating in the region could also be hit. Despite Despite being the biggest investor into the United States, Japan has been pinched by steep levies imposed by Trump on imports of cars, steel, and aluminium. The country is included in Trump's blanket 10% levy, although the U.S. leader has paused his reciprocal duty of 24%. Trump also paused reciprocal duties of 46% on Vietnam and 49% on Cambodia, where some Japanese companies are thought to have shifted an increasing share of production in recent years, partly to avoid the fallout from the last U.S.-China trade war. The US dollar held steady on Monday as markets braced for a busy week of economic data that could reveal early signs of how President Trump's trade war is impacting the economy. At 143.57 yen and 1.1360 to the euro, the dollar has stabilized but remains on track for its biggest monthly drop in over 2 years. The greenback has been down more than 4% against both the euro and yen so far this month. However, a late week rebound followed a softening in US-China tensions, with Washington showing openness to reducing tariffs and Beijing easing levies on select US imports. Investors are watching this week's US economic data closely to see if recent market volatility has started to affect real-world decisions, especially in the job market. In the Asia-Pacific, Australia's inflation reading on Wednesday is unlikely to shift expectations of a rate cut next month, with markets pricing it in as a near certainty. The Australian dollar held near recent highs at just under 64 US cents, while the New Zealand dollar hovered near 60 cents. In Canada, voters head to the polls today, with the ruling Liberal Party has a narrow lead, but currency markets are calm, with the Canadian dollar steady at 1.3874 per US dollars. 5 months after Romania's presidential elections were abruptly cancelled, voters head to the polls on Sunday for a tense rerun. The exclusion of far-right contender Călin Gheorghiu, who topped the first round before the annulment, has sparked protests and criticism, especially from the US government. Gheorghiu's barring follows claims of Russian interference and excessive social media promotion, drawing condemnation from US Vice President J.D. Vance and advisor Elon Musk. The two have criticized Romania's actions, with Vance questioning the integrity of the annulled vote and Musk voicing repeated criticism on social media. 11 candidates remain, with far-right leader George Simeon, a Trump supporter, expected to advance to the second round. Other candidates, including pro-European figures Nicoso Dan and Crin Antonescu, are also vying for the second round. Political scientist Sorina Soares says U.S. pressure and a shift to conservative themes have influenced the campaign, with many candidates aligning themselves with Trump-era politics. The race is crucial for Romania's foreign policy influence, especially as it borders war-torn Ukraine. With undecided voters and a large European diaspora, the outcome is far from certain, and tensions over the election process remain high. Coming up next in sports, Liverpool smashed Tottenham to win Premier League title. The country's young rider Muhammad Hakim Danish Ramli continued to perform brilliantly as he finished the 2 Spanish Grand Prix GP races of the Rookies Cup competition on the podium on Sunday. Armed with a podium finish in Saturday's race at the Jerez circuit, the Terengganu-born rider once again showcased his best ride as he finished in second position, 0.031 seconds behind Australia's Carter Thompson, who clocked a time of 25 minutes, 46.043 seconds to take first place. American rider Christian Daniel was separated by another 0.294 seconds to take third place. The double success saw Hakim Danish top the race standings chart with 40 points, leaving Thompson behind with 38 points and Spain's Brian Urrutia with 25 points. Previously, the 17-year-old rider grabbed the same podium position in the second race of the 2024 edition at the circuit.
Gresini Racing's Alex Marquez claimed his first MotoGP race victory at the Spanish Grand Prix on Sunday to snatch the championship lead from his elder brother Marc, who crashed early in the race and finished 12th.
An action-packed opening lap had pole sitter Fabio Quartararo get a perfect start off the line to take the lead into turn 1, while Saturday's sprint winner Marc fell behind to 4th place. Alex attempted to overtake 3 riders in front of him early on by threading the needle between bikes, but he braked too late and fell behind while Marc and Francesco Bagnaia collided while jostling for position. With Marc running in 3rd and looking to overtake his teammate, the Spaniard then crashed at turn 7 and rejoined in 22nd place with a damaged bike. Quartararo, meanwhile, tried his best to keep Alex at bay, but on lap 11, the pace of the Ducati bike proved far too superior as he overtook Quartararo to draw a roar from the Marquez grandstand. Once Alex was in the clear, he began to disappear into the distance while Bagnaia could not catch up as he struggled to overtake Quartararo, who doggedly held on to 2nd place. After 7 second-place finishes in sprints and races this season, Alex finally claimed a dream race win on home turf in front of over 100,000 fans. The Gresini rider now leads his elder sibling by 1 point in the standings after taking the checkered flag, which was waved by Spanish tennis player Carlos Alcaraz.
Liverpool demolished Tottenham 5-1 to clinch the Premier League title at an impassioned Anfield early this morning, sealing a record equaling 20th English top-flight crown.
Arne Slot's men started on the front foot at an expectant Anfield after a stirring rendition of club anthem You'll Never Walk Alone in the warm spring sunshine. But Tottenham briefly threatened to become party poopers when Dominic Solanke powered home a header from a James Maddison corner in the 12th minute. Liverpool were level just 4 minutes later when Luis Diaz converted Dominic Szoboszlai's cross from close range. The offside flag went up by VAR awarded the goal. The home side took the lead in the 24th minute when Alexis McAllister thundered the ball from the 18-yard line past the flying Guillermo Vicario. Cody Gakpo made it 3-1, slamming a shot into the bottom corner after Spurs failed to clear. Top scorer Mohamed Salah then scored the 4th goal the crowd craved. Liverpool had a 5th when Spurs defender Destiny Udogie poked the ball past his own goalkeeper from close range. The win leaves Liverpool on 82 points, 15 clear of nearest challengers Arsenal with just 4 games remaining. Tottenham are a miserable 16th in the Premier League table after their 19th defeat of the season.
Al Ahly handed Thailand's Buriram United a 3-0 defeat in the quarterfinals of the Asian Champions League Elite in Jeddah on Sunday, with victory setting up an All-Saudi Pro League semi-final against Al Hilal.
Strikes from Riyad Mahrez and Galeno gave Al Ahly a 2-goal lead by the 6th minute, and Roberto Firmino added the third 15 minutes before the interval to complete a comfortable win at the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium. Al Ahly, runners-up in 1986 and 2012, will continue their quest for their first continental title against compatriots and 4-times champions Al Hilal, who handed South Korea's Gwangju a 7-0 thrashing on Friday to progress to the last 4. Saudi Arabia is hosting the latter stages of the Asian Champions League Elite, with the quarterfinals, semis and final being played in Jeddah. The semi-finals will be played on Tuesday and Wednesday, with the final on 3rd May.
World champion Tadej Pogacar won his third Liège-Bastogne-Liège with a dominant showing in the Belgian one-day classic as Mauritian Kim Le-Court took the biggest win of her career in the women's race. Slovenian Pogacar attacked on the Côte de la Redoute, climbed with 35 km of the 252 km course remaining and expertly stayed clear to defend his title, having also won in 2021. Italy's Giulio Ciccone edged out Ireland's Ben Healy to claim second, finishing just over a minute down on Pogacar. Pogacar, 26, is the first rider to finish on the podium in 6 successive monuments, the 5 most prestigious one-day races in men's cycling. After winning Liège and Il Lombardia last year, he finished third at this year's Milan-San Remo, won the Tour of Flanders and was runner-up at Paris-Roubaix. The 3-time Tour de France champion has also finished on the podium. In the past 8 monuments, he has entered, winning 5. This is Pogacar's 9th monument win overall. Only Eddy Merckx, widely regarded as the greatest cyclist of all time, with 19, and fellow Belgian great Roger de Velmick with 11 have more victories in these famous races. Meanwhile, Mauritian rider Le-Court won the women's race for the first time as 4 riders contested a sprint finish. The 2023 champion Demi Vollering attacked first, but Le-Court countered her and then held off Dutch woman Pak Pieterse, who won the Fletcher Wallon Classic on Wednesday. Pieterse finished second ahead of countrywoman Vollering and French rider Cédrine Cabal in 4th. The 4 riders completed the 152.9 kilometer route in 4 hours, 15 minutes and 42 seconds. It was the first Classics win for the 29-year-old Le-Court. Cabal broke ahead near the end and led by 14 seconds with 11 kilometers left and threatened to extend her advantage, but Pieterse went after her. World road race champion Lotte Kopecky of Belgium could not follow and cracked in the final climb up Rouge aux Falcons, but Pieterse, Vollering and Le-Court caught Cabal with a few kilometers remaining to make it a 4-way sprint finish. Kopecky rolled at 5th, 24 seconds behind.
Daruman jentera moped berbagai kategori terus menggegah dalam perlumbaan motosikal Petronas Malaysia Cup Prix musim 2025. Dengan jiwa kelajuan, nantikan pecutan kemenangan setiap pelumba hanya di RTM.
Welcome to On the Table.
Obviously, there are 2 main engines of growth in any economies.
What are the implications of Malaysia's growth on employment, income levels, and also standard of living per population?
From a historical perspective, it's been good. The capacity in our country can be built to be in the same level as the world standards.
And that concludes today's edition of World Today. In a top story, Malaysia and Maldives to explore further collaboration in various key sectors. Till then, I'm Renee Fong. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching and have a pleasant afternoon.